This is Matthew Harrington with Dell Technologies. Today I'm going to cover creating Intune packages that will deploy Dell Display and Peripheral Manager and the Dell Management Agent that are required to use the Dell Management Console. I've already done a video on using this console. One thing it does require is each target system needs both of these pieces of software installed. The device management agent receives policy information and instruction information from this particular portal. Example, you want to update the firmware on a display. You want to update the firmware on a headset. And then Dell Display and Peripheral Manager is what actually does the firmware update on your devices. As I said in the other video, docks are unique. Docks would be updated if they're plugged in or not plugged in. The smart docks have Wi-Fi capability, so you could actually push a firmware out to them even if they're not plugged into a laptop. For all other peripherals, Dell Display and Peripheral Manager does the update, and as I said, it can do it for the dock as well, or Dell Command Update can do it for the docks as well. But in order to install this, it has to know what group it will be associated with. So if we come to our groups, each one has what's called a group token. I can copy the group token, and what do they look like? They look like this, right? So when you install the device management agent, we show you exactly how to do it. If you click on software details, we show you what it looks like, and we even copy an example script, right? Which is this. It actually shows you exactly how to do it. And this is awesome, and it works. But let's say your server team or security team doesn't want you to create all of the group tokens in DHCP, because you're also allowed to come up to your DHCP. You can say set predefined options, and you could have, you're going to have device.manage.dell.com. I'm in a beta test area because I work for Dell. But you could set up for each subnet the group token. But what if you have 10, 15, or 20 different groups defined inside of Device Management Console, and for whatever reasons, internally, security, or whatever, you're told you cannot use the DHCP option tags? Because you could put everything into default policy, but if you had many different groups based on buildings or cities or floors within buildings or different campuses, whatever it is, let's say you had 20 different groups, you would actually have to create 20 different packages because each one needs the group token so the devices and systems show up in the correct groups within Device Management Console. So what you can do in PowerShell is you could do it in such a way where you create one package. You can see right here I have a PowerShell script and I have the DMA agent. I don't need a CMD file that calls the DMA agent.exe and passes it a group token. What I can do is inside of my PowerShell script, you could use this feature right here, the param feature, which allows a subordinate PowerShell script to receive commands from a parent script. And we have group token. So here's a log function. We've all seen those. This is what I'm going to install. That's the installer file. We create our own log file here. The script directory, and I've shared this in other videos, we use the my invocation. What does that actually do? If we come to ChatGPT and ask it, it tells us exactly what it does. It returns the full path of the script or command being executed. So it doesn't matter where it gets copied down to. SCCM and Intune both create these random folders that they copy data to, and then they run it. So you don't know the exact name of the folder it's going to run from, and this will find it. So then our installer path is going to be the script directory wherever it lives in that particular file. Here's the arguments. We need the SVQN because it spawns an MSI. There's a group token. You're not going to have beta. You're just going to have device.manage.dell.com. And this creates the log file from the MSI that gets spawned. And then I capture the exit codes. So what this allows you to do is inside of Intune, here's the Dell Device Management Agent. And I'll go back to overview here. You see I've pushed it out. I come to properties. This is for building 10. If I come back to my groups, here's building 10. And I know the group token for that ends right there because that's where or actually right there, I grabbed it. So then what I can do is inside of Intune rather, is I could just run PowerShell, execution policies bypass, and what file do I want to run? That's the file. That's my PowerShell script that I created my Intune Win bundle from right here. You can see here I created the output, and that's it right there. There's my source. And so, and then I have a little dash you could barely see, and I say group token, and what is my group token? That's it right there. So I could have the same Intune Win package, and then I could import it as many times as I need, and I don't care what the group token is. I don't have to run that with a CMD file. I could have one Intune Win package, and then I can create as many different deployments as I want. And you can see here, you know, I called this one Building 10. You could set it up any way that you want inside of Intune. And by using that right there, it allows you to receive commands from a parent script and then use them in this script. And I did the same thing for Dell Display and Peripheral Manager. When you install this particular exe or installer, those are all the different command line switches it supports. You could have headless mode, you could have telemetry data, you could have silent, right? So maybe you have different locations. Maybe you have a highly secure test lab and you want headless mode to be true so nobody could actually launch your Dell Display and Peripheral Manager. Because if you come in here, you could do your own updates, right? Maybe you don't want them to do updates. And then in other parts of your company, you know, maybe you're going to allow people to see it and have telemetry data. So I do the exact same thing. I create this section right here, and it has to come first in your PowerShell script. It cannot be after anything else because the parent process passes it to these, and then they're used. And again, we do the same thing. Here's our exe. Here's my invocations. Here's the script directory. It's a carbon copy of the other script. And then here we create an array. Whenever you do @ that creates an array. We have an array of all the different arguments that we potentially may use. And then I also create a registry key so it silences like one of the first run pop-ups. There's a consent page that I automatically answer. And then it's the same thing. We come back to Intune, Dell Display and Peripheral Manager, and it's the exact same thing. I say execution policy bypass. I call that PowerShell script, and then I have arguments 1, 2, and 3. I want it silent, telemetry consent equals true, headless mode equals false. This way you could push it out as many times as you want with any command line switches that you want. These particular scripts, and I'll put this in the comments on the video, but they're right here. Here's my GitHub page, and here are the scripts. Here's a README. I also have an uninstall script that will get the uninstall string for the DMA agent. And in the README, I kind of break down exactly what I just went over. So it's actually pretty easy. What you do is you define your parameters right here. And this is basically a reserved thing within PowerShell that allows another process to pass information into this script. And then you can pass it whatever command lines that you want. That way, you only have to bundle one package. And then you could import that same Intune Win package as many times as you need for each type of installation, or it really came about for the group token. This is what made me realize I wanted to figure out how to do this. So hopefully this has been beneficial, and until next time.